We are almost done with knitting our thrummed mitten. The last thing we need to do is to pick up our thumb and knit it until it measures over our thumb. To do so, take one of your needles and take your first set of stitches and open your stitch marker and start slipping the stitches onto your needle. On this first stitch marker, we only have 6 stitches. So those first 6 stitches are on our needle. Now you may notice that this is a little tight, so we need to slip 2 of the stitches onto a different needle. Actually slip 4, because otherwise you're going to start off and it's going to be all wonky. Okay, so slip 4 and then take the other 2 and slide it to the other side of the needle and just keep that needle there because you need to slip the other stitches off of the safety pin. So take another needle. Here, I'm going to turn this so that's easier. You want to be very careful because I just dropped the stitches. So pick them up as you normally would. And pull out your safety pin and just kind of work your needle into those stitches. Now the needle that has only 2 stitches on it, slip 2 stitches from the needle that you just had onto that needle. Now we have 4 stitches on the middle needle, 5 stitches on the far needle, and 4 stitches on this needle. So we need to pick up 2 with this needle to the thumb. So there's 1. And actually, I'm only going to pick up 1 stitch. I know the pattern calls for 2 stitches, but I'm only going to pick up 1 because otherwise the thumb is going to be too connected to the body. So now we have 5, 5, and 4 for a total of 14 stitches instead of 15. You have now picked up your stitches for your thumb and are ready to knit your thumb. To start knitting your thumb, you will want to start to where the thumb is facing towards the left. You will start knitting on this needle that has 5 stitches. To start knitting it, take your yarn and put a loop over it. And then knit. Now knit in the round as you normally would. Five stitches on that needle, 4 stitches on this needle, and 5 stitches on the last needle. Now then, you will want to keep knitting in this manner until your thumb, when you try it on, is just about to the middle of your thumbnail, because then you will be working a few decreases for your thumb. So I will come back when my thumb measures to where it is half of my fingernail. Okay, so my thumb is now long enough to where I can start working the top of the decreases. So right now I have 14 stitches. So I need to decrease a stitch over here and a stitch over here so that my thumb will lay flat. Now right now I have 5 here, 4 here, and 5 here. I need to decrease one stitch right here. So to do so, I just knit 2 together, and knit the rest of this needle, 3 stitches. And then on this needle, I need to knit 1 and then decrease the middle 2 stitches. So knit these 2 stitches together and knit 1. Now I want to keep knitting 1 stitch with this needle because I have 5 here, 4 here, and 3 here. So instead of slipping a stitch, I'm going to knit a stitch and then bring back in my other needle and knit the last 4 stitches. Now then, I need to knit 1 more row of stockinette before I make my final decreases, or else I could end up with holes or puckering in my fabric. So I'm going to quickly knit this round. Okay, so this is the last round that we will be knitting. So we need to decrease 6 stitches. So knit the first 2 stitches together, knit the next 2 stitches together, go to the next needle, knit the first 2 stitches together, knit the next 2 stitches together, and then the last 2 decreases, knit the first 2 stitches together on this needle, and then knit the last 2 stitches together. Now then, we have 6 stitches left, and now we're going to take our darning needle and our scissors, and leaving a fairly long tail, cut your yarn, and then thread your darning needle, and we're going to do what we did on the top of the mitten. So notice that our knitting ends here on this stitch, so we need to go through the next 2 stitches. So bring your stitches down to the end of the needle, and slip them onto the darning needle. We're now done with this needle. Pull that through. Now go to the next needle and slip those 2 stitches onto the darning needle. We're done with this needle. Pull the stitches through, and now the last needle, slip the last 2 stitches on there and pull the darning needle tight to tighten up the thumb. Now we need to go back through this star area. Can't see it very well on this navy yarn, but there's a star looking thing where you gathered up those stitches, and you need to go back through the 6 stitches so that your thumb is pretty tight. And then the last 2 stitches. Okay, now your mitten is fairly done. The last thing we need to do, well actually there's 2 things left. We need to weave in the ends, and then we need to go through and tie these thrums down. Notice how this one at the top is fairly loose. We don't want a thrum coming out because that could mean that your whole entire mitten would unravel on itself.